So people have been talking about this vibration issue in 2015 Honda CRVs, and essentially they keep showing this. Just got this car. If you look closely, you can see the seat is vibrating, and I put like a little wire there to kind of show the vibration. See if I can get kind of like a side profile of it. Really, the whole car is shaking. I mean, you can put your hand here and kind of steady it, but then you just feel it in your hand and your arm. It's very subtle. I mean, it reminds me exactly when I used to be a gearhead and put cams in my Mustang, and the whole thing kind of vibrated. Maybe at a slightly higher, vibration pace, but I can see why it might bother like a non-car enthusiast or someone who expected, something different. I mean, you kind of expect that in an old muscle car, especially if you've done upgrades to it. So really, the RPMs are down to, looks to be about 600, which is typical idle for a lot of cars. And anytime you run any accessory, like, I mean, if you run anything that ups the RPMs, like I'll just blast my fan, and sure enough, the needle goes up. And then the vibrations are still there. It's just super subtle because essentially you just change the frequency to where it's not as noticeable to you. In other words, the pulsing is so fast that it feels almost constant. So it's likely to not bother you. But as soon as you turn off the accessory, as soon as you get those RPMs back down to 600, you can kind of feel the vibration through, people show this a lot on the internet. So the reason why I probably never noticed it, and I probably wouldn't have noticed it unless someone mentioned it to me, unless it's one of those things where if you hear about it, then you start noticing it more, is because it's freaking hot. I mean, you can see it's almost 8 o'clock, and it's 97 here, or 96 up in Sacramento. So when we went and test drove this car, we were using AC constantly. I mean, you had to. We were test driving these cars in 100-degree weather. So of course the accessories are all, you would have this turned up, this maxed out, RPMs would be high no matter what, whether you were at a stoplight or stop and go. So yeah, you would never feel a vibration. So if this type of thing concerned you, I mean, you might feel it. And I do feel something because, like I said, I've been, it's kind of like the power of suggestion. Someone tells you something there, and all of a sudden you become hyper aware of it or hypersensitive to it. But it's still there, it's just vibrating at a higher frequency, and you don't really notice it as much. But when it's down to 600 RPMs, you really feel it. And that's essentially where people are complaining about is I guess an easy fix would just, back when we had Mustangs, back when I used to work on my Mustang, we used to have like a ODB2 port reader where you could actually manipulate some things, and one of the things you could manipulate was just your idle speed. You could just make it whatever you want, essentially, within reason. Make it 800, make it 600, make it 500, enough to where you can even bog out the engine. And but then you might lose a little bit of gas mileage because you're sitting idle at a higher RPM. I don't know if Honda is going to want to do that across the board for an issue that only affects people who are sensitive to it. So I really believe that this issue is existent on all 2015. It's not like it's just some people who are not sensitive to it. But the easiest test is just turn off all your accessories, turn off your AC, put your foot on the brake, and bring that RPM down to its true resting rate, and you'll feel the vibrations. Oddly, someone said if you leave the foot brake on, see if you leave the foot brake on and then let go, it makes the RPMs go up. And sure enough, it's like not even moving. It's all just a matter of perception, though. It's still vibrating, but it's at such a higher frequency that it's just not something you'd feel. So that basically concludes my little analysis, if you call it that. We'll see what Honda does.